You see this? None of this. Okay, so your BMQ experience does not start once you get to CFLRS. It starts when you get your travel orders and you board the plane to go to Montreal and then to Saint Jean. Because this is the first opportunity you have to meet your timings and make sure you are not late, because then you will have a whole lot more trouble and a lot more people to speak with and sit in front of. Very intimidating. Okay, so typically your actual program will start on a Monday that they consider day one. However, the day you fly in, you'll be picked up at Trudeau Airport in Montreal by military staff. And you have to check in with these two staff members, and there will be more than one of you. Obviously, there will be a bunch of you all going on the same bus. Whether you are in BMOQ or BMQ, you'll be on different platoons. It's just everybody that is starting at the same time. And you have to make sure you check in by a certain time so you can get on the bus for them to take you to CFLRS. As soon as you get there, it is typically on the Saturday, so a couple days before. This is the actual start of your BMQ, because you'll meet your chain of command that day and all of the staff that will be running your entire program for 9 weeks. As soon as you get to CFLRS, you will be pretty much rushed into the building, and you have to sign in, do all your information. This is the first time you will be told how to report. More on that later. And they will put you into a classroom and give you a briefing on key points and CAF policies that are an absolute must follow during your time at Canadian Forces Leadership and Recruit School. Biggest thing I can tell you right now, be prepared for very little sleep, lots of stairs daily, and PT multiple times per week, which includes a lot of running and calisthenics with PSP staff. You will have 3 meals per day at the mess. The food is absolutely terrible and bland. So don't expect any great food. Of course, it's not a hotel, and it is not your cooking that you get at home from mom or dad or from your significant other. Just don't have high expectations for your 3 meals a day in the mess. During week 1, you will do a fitness screening test, which is a little bit more difficult than the force test you do later on. And the whole idea is for them to assess your physical fitness level. However, you do have certain criteria to meet. If you do not meet them, you'll be put on TRP and recoursed following your stint on TRP, which, because you do this in week 1, you'll typically be recoursed to either week 1 or week 2 after TRP. Also during week 1, this is where it gets fun, you will receive all of your kit, and I mean everything you will need to go through your 9 weeks. So be prepared to do the stairs multiple times and bring all of your 30 to 40 pounds of gear up to your living quarters. Piece of advice: form a chain going up the stairs with your platoon. It makes it a lot easier. I'm going through my notes that I have on my phone here, so please be patient. At some point in your first 3 weeks, you will go to the medical building to get your updated vaccines. Make sure you have a vaccine booklet. They will tell you to bring this, but make sure you know the vaccines you already have done and what you have up to date, because if you do not, you could be facing 10 shots, including the strep butt shot. Doesn't actually go in your butt, goes in your lower hip / upper butt. You, of course, have the right to refuse all vaccines. However, there are some that are actually good to get. There were only a couple that I refused to get, and it was the flu shot and the one that was pushed over the last 4 years, and they said was mandatory for everyone to get, if you know what I'm referring to. Later on in your course, during week 5, sometimes week 6, depending on your staff, you will do your force test. The force test, as you've probably already heard of, you can find a lot of resources for this online as to what the force test particularly is. Believe it or not, It is a little bit easier than the screening test because the timings are slightly more relaxed by a few seconds. You have a little more time to complete each of the activities and exercises they're having you do. Do not fail your force test because that is a big problem. It will obviously put you back on TRP and you may be recoursed, not so much right back to week 5 or 6, but even to week 3 or 4, depending on your chain of command and your sergeant major in your division, what they decide to do. Okay, now I'm telling you this now because this is something you really need to prepare for. Week 6 is Hell Week. Why is it Hell Week? That is your week that you have the most minimal sleep and a lot of tests, including your weapons handling test. Make sure you know your rifle inside and out, know everything about it, how to operate it properly, how it fires, how to take it apart and put it back together. I failed this test. Not the part of being able to take it apart and put it back together, but just the operations, the way they go through the test. Each staff you have will do it in a different order. It's not going to be in the same order. Just make sure you know every single operation. It is a big deal. If I had stayed as opposed to release from the CAF, I would have been recoursed to week 4 because I had failed the weapons handling test. So that's a big deal. Week 6, you go to TRP probably for a couple of weeks even, unless you get lucky and do door-to-door recourse. So I would have had 2 weeks at least on TRP and then back to week 4. Not something you really want to do and have a delay to your course. Now, when I mentioned having very little sleep, I mean it. You will be up between 0400 and 0500 every single day, and lights out is at 2300. You will in fact be awake until 2300 to stay on top of all of your homework, your reading, and all of your other daily tasks, whether it's doing laundry, whether it's showering, whether it's shaving. Yes, you do have to actually stay clean shaven, mostly for week 7 when you do your gas hut training. Just something to keep in mind, because also, before I forget, cleaning your living quarters, both your own and the common areas. Those are things that you will be inspected on, usually either once a week, a couple times a week. You do a total of 10 inspections over the course of your 9 weeks, each one getting more and more strict. So it's all of your uniforms, making sure your dress uniform is pressed, even though you don't wear that until week 9 typically. They are going to stay on top of you for it. And if your boots are not polished or clean, that is another thing that you will get in shit for, and sometimes end up doing multiple push-ups. One day, funny story, because my entire platoon was not up to the standards of the warrant officer, I ended up doing 150 push-ups, and I am not kidding. Now, beyond week 6 and into Farnham, I can't speak too much about. I was at Farnham for 2 days, and the second day I was injured before they brought me back to the base. Not a serious injury, just some mild tendonitis, and I was already going through my release process. However, the 2 days I was at Farnham, I will say it absolutely sucked. It was cold. It was as low as minus 30 degrees outside. Sleeping in a tent with very little heat on the ground in the snow, with minimal ways to keep warm. You will be educated and taught how to keep warm, although it doesn't always work the greatest, especially when it's that cold. And your experience is going to vary based on what time of year you're at BMQ, whether it's summer, winter, spring, fall. For me, it sucked because it was in the dead middle of winter in Quebec, which gets some of the coldest winters in Canada. Keep that in mind. A couple things I've been told. Obviously, week 9 is your graduation week. Some people have f***ed up during week 9 and have been recoursed back to week 1. So, the only advice I can give on that, stay focused, keep your eyes forward, and keep your eyes on the prize. Keep your eyes on the light at the end of the tunnel. You are almost there. Do not do anything against policies. Do not do anything against the commanded standing orders. Just simple things. Oh, by the way, you see this? None of this. You have to do the entire course without any caffeine. There's coffee in the mess, however, it is decaf. If you are caught purchasing energy drinks on the base, whether it's at Canix or whether you have energy drinks, you're caught by any staff, you're getting it. The coffee that's in the mess, by the way, is decaf. Little piece of advice on your days off: if you really need coffee, there's a Subway on the base. Go to Subway. Okay, that's everything I have to share with you. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button. If you're not yet subscribed, please make sure you subscribe. We are 200 subscribers away from hitting 1,000 and potential monetization. Something that would be just a nice added benefit to making these videos for you guys, and it would make it a little bit more possible, a little bit easier for me to do. See you later.